Can Triumph motorcycles lead the way in 2024? Can they be the top dog? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Triumph motorcycles, can they be the top banana, the big cheese in the motorcycle world for 2024? And I'm not talking about unit sales, because we know the likes of Honda and Hero and whoever, the big other brands are, they're going to be the number ones, right? But I'm just talking about the rest, right? A Triumph gonna be that brand that really rises to the top, takes over. There may even be more than BMW now, definitely more than Ducati, but more than Harley Davidson. They're already definitely more than Indian, for example. You know, will they be that brand that rises and rises and rises and actually overtakes the other Japanese brands, the likes of Suzuki, Yamaha, Kawasaki especially? I believe Kawasaki are the smallest of the big four Japanese brands. Can they be there? Well, the reason why I ask this question is this. It's kind of twofold. I've always been a big admirer of Triumph. Not because of necessarily the bikes that they produce or the technology, but it's more about the range of motorcycles that they produce historically, since their kind of resurgence, right? The kind of bikes that they produce. And I still believe there's quite a few gaps within their model lineup. I definitely believe there's some gaps which I believe they really should attack. In terms of a sports bike, like a 1 litre sports bike type of motorcycle, but a proper sports motorcycle. I think their new 660 Daytona kind of misses the mark in terms of mid-range sports bike. I think, you know, so there's pros and there's cons in the kind of bikes that they produce, but in terms of an overall range and the bikes that they produce, in terms of like the cool bikes, the retro bikes, but also the Triumph Explorer, the adventure bike, I think it's a great bike. There's lots of bikes that they produce are fantastic. The Triumph Rocket 3, great bike. It's a great bike to ride, you know, oodles of power. So they've got a great range. But in terms of, can they be right at the top? So last year they teamed up with the Indian manufacturer and they produced the Triumph 400. Now that's being sold here in the UK and around Europe as well. And this is where I think, do you know what? Triumph, they stepped ahead. They kind of went head to head with Harley Davidson with their X440. And they jumped the gun. They got there ahead of Harley Davidson, released their bike a week earlier, I think it was. Many people believe that Harley Davidson in India, they had to react really quickly just to get their X440 out ahead of when they were intending to bring it out. Now, who knows if this is true or not, we don't know. But that kind of gave me a feeling, say, you know what? Triumph, I think they're going for Harley Davidson's crown here. I think they're trying, not in terms of the style of the bikes, I want to make that perfectly clear, in terms of just position, market position. They seem to have a much more even global presence. Harley Davidson are very much big in the United States. That's their home ground. But they're big around Europe, and maybe in Australia they're quite big as well. But the rest of the world, not so much, right? Okay, they've kind of addressed that a little bit with the X440 in India and obviously the X350, X500 in China. But in terms of global presence, it's kind of scattergun. And this is why under this hardwire, the rewire then the hardwire program from Harley Davidson, they readdressed that and they pulled out of markets and they reinvested in better markets, right? So they reevaluated where they were. Whereas Triumph, they seem to be much more of an even keel. Yes, they're big in Europe. Yes, they're growing, definitely growing in the United States. But they're kind of they're bigger in much more markets, I would say. Certainly in the Far East as well, and in places like India as well. So they have definitely grown. Triumph. They produce a great range of bikes, and I think if they are going to challenge any other manufacturer in terms of market share, it's going to be Harley Davidson. They're the ones that I feel, I've just got a sneaking feeling, they're the ones that they're really nipping away at, especially in the American market. Now, let's just look at this, for example. I said in a video a few weeks ago that it's not about whether people who ride Harley Davidsons right now love another brand. It's whether they love Harley Davidson enough and at the prices they're expected to pay, whether they love them enough or whether they value them enough as a brand to stay with them. What is the alternative? What is the alternative in terms of value, in terms of appeal and everything? So if there's another manufacturer like Triumph, for example, it could be BMW, could be Ducati, could be Suzuki, could be anything, right? But in terms of Triumph, do I believe that Triumph are the best competition out there? Maybe BMW as well. They're kind of right there-ish, right? Do I think that Harley-Davidson owners are more likely to go to, or disgruntled Harley-Davidson owners, I would say that, right? Or ones that are sitting on the fence. Do I think they're more likely to go to the likes of Triumph or BMW? Or do I think they're more likely to go to, I don't know, Suzuki or Honda? I think if they're going to shift, they're going to shift to something like that. Now, this really depends whether they see the same value in an Indian motorcycle as well. I'm talking about the American market, because you could say the logical shift would be from Harley Davidson to Indian, right? Like for like-ish, American made or American brand, yada, yada, yada. But if they don't see better value, or if they only see a similar kind of value, then they may want to move away from the whole American brand thing and go to another brand. European brand, for example, like Triumph, like BMW. Doesn't necessarily mean that I think that's what's going to happen, but this is the mindset which I believe that many on the fence would be looking. They still love Harley Davidson, it's just they don't see the value in them anymore. Which motorcycles have got better value but just have that same kind of performance, that same kind of curb appeal, that same kind of cool factor? Well, if you like the looks of Triumph, they've got a lot of American cool there. There's a lot of appreciation, especially for their retro bikes, that people will nod them and go, yeah, okay, there we go. There's somebody riding a Triumph, especially the retro bikes, right? Because there's a lot of history with Triumph motorcycles from the 60s, let's say, 50s, 60s, in the United States. People were just buying Triumphs as well. So it's not as if Triumph are the new kids on the block. They've been in the United States and that market for a long, long time. They're coming back now. They're producing really good bikes. Do I think they're going to gain market share this season? I'm going to make a bold prediction this year, 2024, that they're going to increase their sales over 2023. You see, Triumph, over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, they've been making record sales. They just keep on getting better and better and better. And they saw steady growth from 2010, 2012, whatever it was, up to like to the early 2020s. Then for the last 3 or 4 years, they just kept on going up and up and up. And I think they're just about to reach, nearly 100,000 global sales. I think they're sitting about 94,000-ish, something like that right now. Now they've got these 400s that have come out in India. You're going to see big sales in India. You're going to see big sales around Europe as well. These kind of bikes are being talked about. They're being sought after. They've got an existing great lineup as well of motorcycles. They got manufacturing plants or assembly plants here in the UK, but also in other parts of the world as well. I think it's in Thailand, isn't it? So all of a sudden, you've got a global presence. And you can shift your... Triumph have got a very interesting way of producing their motorcycles. So they can shift production of a model to different factories depending on the local economies as well, and where it's cheaper to make or where it's more cost effective to make. So it's a very interesting model. They're not rigid in just only producing their motorcycles in one assembly plant. They can shift it around as well, which I thought was really interesting. So I believe... I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to topple Harley Davidson this year, but I think they could be the notable manufacturer who makes the biggest gain this year. Now, bearing in mind, Ducati have also had their best year as well. They keep, for the last 2 or 3 years, they keep on having record sales. I think Ducati broke through 60,000 global unit sales last year. I think BMW just broke through 210,000 unit sales as well. So I'm not saying Triumph are the biggest, by any stretch of the imagination. But what I'm saying is I think they're going to be top dog in terms of growth this year. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Will Triumph eventually topple Harley Davidson? Will they overtake the likes of BMW? And will they blow the likes of Indian, Ducati, out the water. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.